I've got to hand it to today's guest. She's doing something I don't think I'd have the courage or the physical stamina to do. She is riding her bicycle from her hometown in Spain all the way to Asia. She doesn't have a time frame, so it could be 1 year, it could be multiple years. She doesn't even have an exact route. No support crew, no sponsors, just her and her bike, and some savings from the last 5 years of work, loaded down with gear and a camera. It's really an amazing story and an amazing journey. At the time of recording, she was about 2 months into this journey and about 2,000 kilometers in. So there's a long way to go, but she's on the road. Today, we're talking with cyclo-tourist Sara Qiu. Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we have a really fun episode. We're going to be talking with Sara Qiu. Her family is from China, but she was born and raised in Spain. And Sara is right in the middle of an epic adventure where she is solo biking from Spain all the way to Asia. She doesn't have a time frame or even a final destination in mind, so we'll follow her, right? And so joining us from Zaragoza, Spain is Sara Qiu. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much, Curtis, for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just a few days here in Zaragoza, and just in a couple of days, I will resume my trip. I will fly back to Italy, to Trieste, from where I left, my last destination in Italy. And
yeah, so this was a little bit unexpected, right? You were not totally planning on being back in Spain just right now, but you had to renew your passport before it expired?
Exactly. These kind of things happen. So I'm kind of adapting to these kind of things. And the flight that I took was quite cheap. So I took this opportunity to be at home a few days also and see my family here.
Yeah, that's nice too. And maybe rest your mind a little bit and you don't have to worry about where you're going to sleep tonight. It's nice to be in your own bed, I'm sure. So let's get to know you a little better. You were born in Spain. Have you lived in Zaragoza your whole life?
Yeah, I was born here. I grew up here and I stayed almost my whole life here because I studied school and university mainly in Zaragoza. And from 22 years old, I left to study abroad or to work in other places.
Uh, do you know where your family is from in China?
Yeah, they are from the province of Zhejiang, right in the south of Shanghai, and they came here in the 80s, more or less.
What's the dialect there?
They speak. They come from a small city called Qingtian, and they speak Qingtianhua. Yeah, they
Oh,
speak
okay.
that dialect between them.
Then did you learn that or as well as Mandarin growing up or mostly Spanish at home?
A little bit, but my first language is Spanish, and the dialect I can't talk it, but a little bit only.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So when you get to Asia, are you going to have to use Mandarin maybe?
When I get to Asia, yeah, I will have to. If I go to China, I will have to use my Mandarin again, and if I go to see my grandparents, because the four of them are there, I
Oh.
will start to use my Qingtianhua again.
Gotta
That will
dust it
be a
off.
challenge.
Do you know what brought your family to Spain? What was it, work or something different?
Yeah, it was mainly about work, about finding better opportunities for them and for us also. They met each other in Spain, in Zaragoza, actually.
Oh.
And yeah, but they are from the same village.
Oh
And
wow.
and then, yeah, a few years later, my brother and I were born, and they stayed here their whole life after coming.
Cool. Well, what's life like in Zaragoza? Like growing up as a kid, you're going to school. I looked it up a little bit. It's mostly kids from Spain, but then there's a couple international kids. But were you one of the only Asian kids in your classes?
Yeah, at that time, my brother and I were the only Asian kids in that school. I think now it's getting more international, right? But at that moment, yeah, only my brother and me.
How was that growing up? Did you kind of blend in? Yeah, I mean, you get the black hair, right? And or did you feel like you stood out a lot?
When I was a kid, I think I wasn't aware of being different from the
Hmm.
others. But when I became a teenager, I started to feel the difference a little bit. And I think I have never felt fully integrated. When we are teenagers, we
Hmm.
start to form groups, and you have your own group, everyone has its own group. And yeah, I think I felt a bit different, and um I wasn't really integrated in the groups. But that happened not only in my teenage years. After that,
Sure.
also happened. It kept
Yeah.
happening. But I mean, now I'm okay with that. But it
Yeah.
was a bit difficult when I was a teenager. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it happens everywhere. It happens here in America. It happens
Mm.
wherever the diaspora takes you. There's Chinese kids everywhere who has to
Yeah.
live through that. Challenging, but it makes you tougher in a way. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you start appreciating you being different when you get a bit older, right? Not when
Yeah.
you are a teenager.
Yeah.
And yeah, later on, I started to embrace just the fact of being raised under two cultures. I guess it happened to you as well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to all the diaspora.
So were you always kind of an active kid? Did you always like to get out and do hiking, biking, sports? What sorts of things did you do as a kid?
Well, as a kid, I liked sports. I play soccer with the with the boys,
Sure, sure.
because I get bored with the other. I don't know. I just like to play soccer and be active. So, yeah, that's the main activity I did at school, and also near home in the parks and everything. Yeah.
And then you go to college or university. And what was your plan growing up? You were thinking you would do for a living after college.
So I always had in mind that I wanted to join a big company. I didn't really had many references, so I ended up studying what my brother studied. I just thought, okay, what could be the coolest department in a company, right? And I thought that marketing was the right one, and
Okay.
then I studied marketing. And it was between Spain, Zaragoza, and I did a year abroad in the US also. And in between, I took several gap years actually.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and then I just like the typical path after graduation, I joined a big company in Madrid, yeah, in Spain.
Yeah. And then so you're working in Madrid. And then when did the idea that you're going to start biking from Spain to Asia, when did this idea come into your head?
Yeah, it took a few months to process. Actually, it wasn't from one night to another. um I've been working for 5 years in different companies. In the last company I've been 3 years working. And okay, I think I've learned a lot. I switched roles many times, but one thing is that I couldn't see myself working for others for the rest of my life. I
Yeah.
wanted to set my own schedules,
Yeah.
and I always like to travel. I started a few years ago, 7 years ago, I think. And the pandemic, it makes you think a bit differently. It
Yeah.
made me travel differently. Also, I started to travel slower, because before the pandemic, the first thing I did when I had holiday is to take a plane. The further, the better, and then backpack. But during the pandemic, I had to adapt, and I travel by bike. I travel hiking, walking from one city to another. And this made me reconsider the way I like to travel. And I think I like more like the journey, like going little by little rather than going to the destination straight away. So it was kind of something that was already forming without being aware. And at the end, I think it was in September last year that I really decided to do this kind of thing.
Mm.
And also, I had a friend that started his bike trip 1 year before me.
Mm.
And because of him, I also thought, okay, if one friend, someone who is close to me is doing it, can do it, then you start to believe that you can do it as well, right? So
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
also a little inspiration.
yeah. That's very cool. What was the longest? What was the furthest you'd ever ridden before?
I think it was in my first bike trip. It was in October 2020. It was 13 days and 700 kilometers. That was
Oh,
my first trip, but with another bike, with another equipment. I'm
yeah,
prepared,
yeah, yeah,
But I learned a lot and I really, really enjoyed. I think if I haven't done that trip, if we didn't have the pandemic, I wouldn't have done that trip. And if I wouldn't have done that trip, I probably won't be doing this journey.
yeah. That's such a common story. I've interviewed people in so many different fields, and a lot of them say that if it wasn't for the pandemic, I wouldn't have, X, Y, Z. Same with me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had
Mhm.
a podcast.
Your podcast started during the pandemic?
Yeah, yeah, because I'm a teacher,
Okay.
so I had never done anything like this,
Mhm.
interviews or talking on a camera. And I think there's at least half a dozen people who said, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I never would have.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, huh?
Crisis, in times of crisis, we have to find the good things, right? And I think we all found something.
You have to adapt. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, you quit. Did you quit your job around February or January? When did you quit?
Yeah, at the end of December. At the
Okay.
end of December, yeah.
And then you
Mm.
got real serious about getting equipment and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I took my time also. I knew
Yeah,
I wanted to leave in April, but I wanted to plan everything well and do another cycling trip also, start making videos about previous trips. So I did a few things also.
yeah. Yeah, I haven't totally looked at your channel. Have you done YouTube for a little while, or when did you start YouTube?
No, actually, my first YouTube video was a long time ago. I think I did one for my trip in Philippines, which was in 2016, but
Oh, okay.
just a random video. A friend of me gave me the a GoPro as a present, and I just started to record.
Yeah, yeah,
And I really like to do the video actually. And after that, I kept doing some videos, but not very frequently.
so lots of new experiences on this trip for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, many new things to learn actually, but it's okay.
So, so you make this decision. Was going to Asia part of your journey just as a human being, and part of going back towards your homeland at all? I mean, your parents' homeland, or does it just seem like something like? Did you like the Silk Road, or like what sorts of decisions went into this route?
um, Actually, a lot of people has asked me that, and no, it's not really like coming back to my roots. Well, yes and no. I wouldn't know, but I always tend towards Asia. I don't know why.
Uh-huh,
So I said the direction. There's no specific route. There's no specific path. But and once there, I don't know where I will be going. But I'm researching the routes that other cyclotourists has
yeah,
done, and I've also been in Central Asia a few years ago, and I really liked it. So yeah, Asia. I think we have a lot to discover there. I mean,
yeah,
not Asia is not only China, right? And China is still very huge, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. What languages do you, just, on a side note, what languages do you speak? Obviously Spanish. English.
Yeah, I went to a French school,
Oh,
luckily, so I do speak French also, and a bit of Chinese. My Chinese is not perfect, it's not native, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
try my best, but it's difficult. It's difficult.
Well, I think there's a statistic, right, that if you speak Spanish, English, and Mandarin, you can travel to like 80% of the world. I think. You know,
It made the things much easier. Actually, I'm very happy that my parents put me in that school, and I didn't realize it until much later.
yeah,
But for example, when I was cycling in France, I think it would have been very different if I didn't speak the language, because the language, speaking the native language, brings them closer to you.
yeah,
Yeah. Even if they talk in English, if they know how to talk in English and I know how to talk in English, I think it changes a bit.
yeah, yeah. Especially when you're asking someone to take you into their house, or
Yeah.
you need another level. Yeah. Well, so we'll talk about the route in a minute, but you're getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? You're going to be going to places where you don't speak the primary language mostly.
Yeah. I know the first countries should be easier because I'm still in Europe, right? And but the further I go, the more difficult it will be because the culture will be different. I won't
Yeah.
be speaking the language. I don't know the culture and I have to learn everything from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the challenge is going to be more and more difficult, but that's why I also chose to start from Spain, right? Not to take a plane and just land
Yeah.
in Turkey. I want
Yeah.
to see that progress and it will help me because when I reach Turkey, for example, I will be used to the life of the bike and I will gain some experience
Yeah. Yeah.
physically and mentally and hopefully.
I think so. So you're preparing for this trip, and I watched a couple of your videos on the gear. You have two whole videos on gear, and it's a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you spent a lot of time thinking about it and planning. Did you have a guide? You said your friend did cyclotourism, and did you have any kind of help in planning the gear?
Hopefully, there are several cyclo-tourists that share their equipment in their blogs or in videos, and that helped me a lot, of course, because then more or less that 80% or 70% of what they're bringing, you will need it as well.
Hmm.
Maybe not everything, but sure, the big trunk of what they're bringing. I have bought it, and I think everything that I have bought or that I have bring with me is being useful. It's been useful. I just need so I haven't followed all the recommendations, and that's my fault. So the only thing that I'm getting extra, and I just bought it here in Zaragoza, it's water pants. It's water pants,
Waterproof pants.
waterproof pants. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
And
only
then
thing.
I think you said you're going to get solar panels a little later. You're going to need to get
Yeah,
off the
maybe
grid.
for yeah, yeah, we'll get them later.
Yeah. So it adds up. Yeah, every little piece you got to really put some thought into because when you're going up a hill, every
Mm,
kilogram matters, and you
that's it.
feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But one of the things that I was surprised because before I left, I weighed everything that I had and all my equipment was 24 kilos and it's much less than what other cyclotourists are bringing. I was a bit surprised about that, but I'm happy. I have everything
Yeah.
that I need. I'm washing my clothes every day, but I
Yeah.
have everything I need.
That's the trade-off, right? You pack a little lighter. Now, are you preparing for all four seasons? Are you preparing for to go all the way through winter as well if you're on the road
Yeah.
still?
I have all my winter clothes with me
Oh,
too.
wow. That's so hard. Because right now you could probably get away with a little lighter clothes for sure, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, who knows where you'll be in January?
Yeah, who knows? I don't even know.
You could be somewhere that's really cold. Oh
Hmm.
man, I don't even know where I would begin. But what about food? So you have to power the machine that is your body. How much food do you carry? You carry one day at a time?
Yeah, right now, as I'm cycling through cities and villages, it's easier, right? Because I have supermarkets everywhere. And I go to buy maybe not every day, but one every 2 days. For lunch, I normally buy something easy, maybe like some bread or an hummus or this kind of stuff. And for dinner, I normally stay at a warm shower or with a family or at a hostel. I also cook myself because I have the equipment for cooking. Yeah, something warmer.
Yeah. I'd imagine that it's just tough to keep the calories up and, just always have enough food to keep going.
Yeah, I think it was more difficult during the first months because I think I was a bit anxious about food, like feeling starving all the time.
Oh,
But now I'm better. I'm better with that. Yeah,
pacing it out.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever think about bringing a partner with you or partnering with someone on this ride, or did you really want to do it solo?
I didn't thought about this a lot because I just assumed that I was going to go solo. All my backpacking trips, I've done them solo, and I really like this kind of travel. I think it's a bit different. A lot of advantages, maybe it has disadvantages as well.
Hmm.
But for this trip, I think I will mainly do it solo. And it's also a project that it involves making videos, stopping.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit difficult to do it with somebody. But if I met people on the road, and I mean, we can ride together for one day or a few days, that wouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah. Yeah. What did your family say when you said you were going to do this? Did they
You
support
can
you
imagine.
100%?
You can imagine.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
had a conversation with them
Oh,
yesterday.
yeah, that's right. They're hoping you'll stay.
Yeah. They support me. Okay, they support me, but
Yeah.
they know that they don't really have another option. If they get to choose, they rather have me working for a big company, have a stable job, start a family.
Hmm.
What I can say, they are very stubborn. They can't
Yeah.
understand me sometimes.
Well, that's a big one. I think even the most trusting parents would still be a little worried.
Yeah, okay. To be worried, it's okay, but well, you
Yeah,
understand. You,
I
you
understand.
understand.
Yeah. No, it's hard. And then, just out of curiosity, so how are you funding? You're just using your savings to fund this trip and are you worried about money at all on this, or are you just going to kind of go with the flow until you can't go anymore?
Uh, well, I have some savings from the 5 years I worked, but okay, in the first year, I don't want to worry a lot about money, but I'm trying to build something. It's not just traveling, but also creating content. I'm learning how to create content. I want to figure out what the audience finds valuable. So it's a process of learning and hopefully getting feedback and see what do they find valuable and keep improving my skills because it's not easy. I mean, the communication part, I think, is the most difficult one.
Yeah.
The editing, the hard skills and everything, it can be learned, but the communication, how you tell a story, I think I find that difficult. But I mean, I will improve little by little.
Yeah. Well, let me go ahead and give a plug for your channel. It's called Journey from the Road. It's on YouTube. Also on Instagram. So you can follow Sara on Instagram as well. I think you do Instagram almost every day, right? Or every other
Yeah,
day or so. Yeah.
frequently. Yeah, very
And
frequently.
then YouTube, you're doing once a week.
Exactly.
Yeah. So everyone go give a like and subscribe and follow Sada's journey. It's 2 months in and it's really fun. And you may think you're not the best communicator, but I like your style. You're very, very mellow. You don't have you're not super loud. You're very soft spoken,
Uh-huh.
but you share from your heart. And I appreciate some of the times you've shared the
Hmm.
difficulties as well as,
Yeah.
the beauty. So we'll keep following. So everyone out there, give Sara a follow. Let's talk about the trip so far. So you started in April, and I think we're on 8 episodes, or is 9 coming out this week?
Mm-hmm.
So there's about 8 episodes out, and you can see her journey through Spain and France. What sorts of things have you learned so far in the first 2 months? So much.
A lot of things. I think a lot of things, because this trip, I mean, I didn't have like an idea of how this trip would unfold, right? But it keeps surprising me like every day. Above all, the people that I'm meeting, the community that we will talk about it later, maybe the warm showers community.
Yeah.
But also people that I'm encountering on the road, like very unexpectedly. And I've learned, okay, first of all, it's also a physical challenge, and I'm learning to listen to my body, to understand what it needs, when I need to stop, above all when I'm in the mountain, right? It's not a race. I'm going at my own rhythm. There are cyclists that maybe do 80, 100 kilometers per day, but that's their own rhythm, that their trip, and every journey is different. So I'm trying to listen into my body and don't push it too much every day, because it's a long term. And if I push it every day, it won't be sustainable. So I've learned that. Also, I've learned to be a bit more courageous, because before this trip, well, I think that I've always been, I don't know how to ask help, because I feel that I'm bothering the other people. So I try to solve my own problems by myself, but I'm trying to learn to ask people for help. And people is responding super, super well. And I don't feel like they are bothering me. So it's something that I will keep doing more, or I'm happy to do that, to involve them in my problems also, and to help them solving them.
Let's talk about warmshowers.org. I've never heard of it until you. You were the first person I'd ever heard of it before. I guess it's worldwide, and it's a network of people who offer up their. Is it always indoors, or sometimes it's just you can shower there, but you can't stay there, or is it vary?
Well, it depends. It depends on the host. Sometimes they can provide their garden. Sometimes they provide dinner. They provide breakfast, the shower, like almost everything. But it depends of what he or she can offer. It's a community that was built, I think, in the US 15 or even 20 years ago. So it has existed a lot of years. And in the countries I've been, in France especially, there are a lot of hosts. I think the cycling community and that way of traveling is more common, maybe in France, more than Italy and Spain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you shoot them an email and say, "I'll be there tomorrow," or what do you? How do you make?
It works just like that. So you can see a map, right, and you can see where they are located. So normally you can adapt the route to stop by their place, or you see who can fit better, right? And then you write to them, or you WhatsApp them if they provide their phone number, and that's it. And normally they are pretty flexible, because they know that you cannot exactly plan like 1 month ahead that you will be that day exactly.
Exactly.
So the majority of the times I just write them the day before, or even the same day, because I cannot plan. And the majority of the days it's fine. They just, it works out. Yeah, they say it's fine, it's okay.
It's very cool. One of the scenes I liked was when you're in, I think it was France, and you met a couple, and the woman is Chinese and the man is French, and you're in their house and they invite some friends over and they're making dumplings. they're making jiaozi and they put cheese inside of it, and everyone's speaking French and they're making Chinese dumplings. It was a really cool scene. It seems like one of those memories that I don't think you're gonna forget.
Yeah, this was very random, and that was the day I crossed my first border. And I wrote him last minute, because I was going to stay at an auberge, but they told me it was closed. And I did my reservation 2 days before. So at the end, I was happy that it was closed because I found them. And yeah, they responded very well, even if I wrote them last minute. And I ended up staying 2 nights at their place. And in the second night, we made the dumplings. They invited the friends over. And yeah, this couple is super, super nice.
Yeah, and you said she had a good story too. And I think you said a lot of the hosts are cyclo-tourists themselves, or they've done a little traveling, so they understand the needs.
Yeah, they understand it's important. Okay, in two ways. First, because we have a lot of common and we can share a lot of stories, right? And then they know that you will arrive and you will be sweaty, tired, you will need a shower, you will be hungry, So these both aspects they can understand, and we can share stories.
Yeah, very nice. And then when you can't find a place, you have a tent and a sleeping bag and a backpack. And so some of the scenes, you're just trying to find somewhere to put your tent. And, it's not like you're out in the woods, you're in cities, or you're on the side of the road. So you had to be a little creative, right? Like just finding someone's yard or finding the side of the road.
Sometimes it's not easy because in France, there were a lot of fields that were with fences, so directly you cannot go in. Yeah. That's why also I started to ask to people if I could stay in their garden. Yeah, that was the first time I did it. I think I did it 3 times only, 2 in France and 1 in Italy. And all of them, the 3 times I asked, it went super, super well. They responded super well. Yeah. So, I have to keep doing it.
As I told you, it's been very difficult to me to find a proper spot for camping. So I found a spot near a small river that is running there. It looks like a private property, even if it's not with a fence. So I asked to somebody in a house nearby. I knocked their door. An old man opened the door, and then I asked him if I could stay and put my tent there. And he told me no problem, so here I am. I do not have any other solution for camping in France, so from now on, I think it's better to just ask directly and put your tent in there. I was having my little breakfast, and then 2 minutes ago, Julia came. Julia is the woman who lives there. She's around 60 or 70 years old, and she came with the breakfast towards me. She brought me the brioche and she brought me warm coffee. They are so nice here, the people. And yesterday night, when I set up my tent and everything, I went back, I knocked on the door, and I asked if I could take a shower. And of course, they let me take a shower at their home.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience, I'd imagine, because you're tired and you just want somewhere to put your tent, and you don't want to get on anyone's bad side. But
I mean, wild camping is fine. I think from time to time you find a safe place if you are away from the city, right? But I wouldn't do it 3 days in a row, for example, because I can shower. I have a water sack of 4 liters, but it's not the same. And also I need to wash my clothes like almost every day. Yeah. So I would combine wild camping or camping in someone's garden with warm showers or even hostels. I do combine these 3 alternatives.
Yeah. And so you're making your YouTube videos. Do you film for like the whole week, and do you kind of keep a mental note, or every day do you kind of go through the footage that you've gotten and figure out what you want to make the video, or are you planning that in your head as you're going along?
No, when I think I have something interesting to tell, then I record myself or I record the landscapes I'm cycling towards to. And at the end of the week, normally I stop for 1 day or even 2 days to edit the video. Yeah, edit the video for what happened in during 1 week, more or less. Yeah, the videos are chronological. They are not about the story. At the moment, they are more
Uh,
chronological.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so do you need to wait till you get to a house to do that, or have you done it in a tent? Have you edited inside of a tent at night?
No, because I didn't have electricity, so
Yeah.
it's not very convenient. But I can edit without internet. That's true. But I always find a warm shower or a hostel to be able to work properly.
Are you getting good feedback? I've noticed a couple of comments. People are cheering you on the comment section.
Yeah, that helps a lot. I receive good feedback and also constructive feedback, but as I told you, I'm still very new. Before this trip, I was so afraid of talking to the camera and so embarrassed,
Uh-huh.
But at least now I'm not afraid of it. It's just I don't mind talking to the camera, but that doesn't mean that I'm doing it. I'm good at it, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
to improve and well, we beginners. It's okay. We will learn.
Does it keep you company a little bit? Like well, I've traveled by myself before, and it's kind of
Uh-huh.
lonely. But when you write letters or you're vlogging, right? As you do that,
Mhm.
does it kind of keep you company and help you feel less alone that that people are going to
No,
listen?
no. And also, when I talk to the camera, I have to think about a bit about what I'm going to say. Because it's also in English is not my main language, and the better I talk to the camera, the less edit
Yeah,
editing I have to do
I
after.
know. Yeah, I know about
I
that. Yeah.
try to focus a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely something that you're learning.
Mm.
So you shared a little bit about I think it was episode 7, a little bit. You talked about this just now too. The mental struggle of being on the road, as well as the physical struggle moving from location to location. Do you feel do you feel like you've come a long way in that regard on this trip, or is it just something you're just going to have to keep learning as you go along?
If I think this journey will bring me a lot of surprises, and at the moment, I've been very lucky, but some bad things, will happen. I will have to adapt. Maybe some days I will feel very tired, or in some countries, they will perceive me differently, or the culture will be different, and traveling solo as a woman will be challenging, but so far, I think I'm adapting properly. The countries I'm cycling are very similar culturally.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that struggle I had in France is what I've told you before that when I reached the 1,000 kilometers, that like rationally I wanted to reach the other country, right? But
Yeah.
emotionally I was a little further from the
Uh-huh.
border. That
Yeah.
was the struggle. But then I learned from that also. Because when I reached the 2,000 kilometers, nothing happened. It was just calm. So
Do you have a best memory so far? It's only been 2 months, but
no, I have a lot of good memories. I mean, the warm showers community and the unexpected encounters played a big role. I think this is what I will remember on the trips more than the landscapes and everything they were amazing.
sure.
But I think we'll remember these kind of surprises.
How about a worst day? Have you had a bad day yet? A really bad day?
I think my worst day was one day that I didn't know where to sleep and it rained the whole day. That's when I learned that I needed
The
waterproof
what? Yeah,
pants.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was a long day. It was 90 kilometers, a big part of it with a lot of rain. I didn't know where to sleep because the warm shower didn't answer me. But at the end, I found a place and they let me stay. But I was lucky. It ended well. So every time I had a bad day, at the end, it ended well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
I've
a
been lucky.
good philosophy to have, that to put that in the bank, where that you could get through this, or that
Yeah.
it'll change or something will happen. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you confuse people a little bit when you show up with a Chinese face and you speak Spanish or French? Does it
A
confuse
lot.
people?
Sometimes they don't know if I come from Asia and I'm cycling towards Europe or the other way around. It's like I have to explain it, but then it's fine. In Spain, so I'm Spanish. I was born in Spain. I grew up here. But when they ask me, always ask me, where are you from?
Right.
So they don't assume that I'm Spanish. And then I say, I'm from Spain. And they keep waiting for another type of response. So a lot of times I just say, I'm from Zaragoza, I'm from Spain, and originally from China, because it's the answer that they expect. So
Yeah, they want to know the whole story.
yeah, but in China it happens the same to me. In Spain they say you don't look Spanish,
Right.
okay, obviously, but in China they say you don't sound Chinese and you don't look Spanish.
Yeah,
You don't look
Well,
Chinese.
I had the same thing when I went to China. I'm several generations here in America, and when I went to China for the first time, I never felt so American before. Like everyone there just thought of me as 100% American.
Yeah, I think they can't see it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe from how you are wearing or how you're walking, your gestures. Yeah, I think they can't see it.
So yeah, I think as you get closer to Asia, I have a cousin who was adopted from Kazakhstan,
Mm-hmm.
and his parents are Chinese, but they adopted a little boy out of Kazakhstan, and he looks pretty much Chinese, like so. Central Asia, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Actually, when I was in Kyrgyzstan in 2019, they thought I was from. They spoke to me in Kyrgyz.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think I will blend well. I have to learn the language.
Yeah. All right. So you're gonna fly back to Italy with your renewed passport, which is important. You need to have that. I know you don't have a total time frame, but are you hoping to get somewhere by the time the weather turns bad? Are you thinking of trying to get through a certain spot by a certain date in general?
Not really. So what I'm planning right now is my next country, which is Slovenia, and a lot of people just cross Slovenia, right? But I have very good feedback. People who have cycled there or backpack there, and I want to spend a bit of time. So I will visit some places. I will spend maybe a couple of weeks there, and then I will start to go towards the east, to go down through Croatia, maybe Serbia. But I still don't know which are the countries, because I know which is the typical route, but then I have some other cycling friends that change the route a little bit, and maybe I will visit other countries, but always towards the east. But I don't have any time frame. I think in September or so I should be in Turkey, but I never know.
Yeah. And then, the Middle East can be a little iffy sometimes politically. Do you have any plans for the Middle East, or are you just going to plan as you get closer?
I think Iran is one of the countries that I want to cycle, but I want to contact a few cyclo-tourist women who have been there to give me their personal opinion, their experiences, because you always read good things and bad things about experiences, right? And there are not many people that have cycled alone, and especially women in this country. Maybe there are 5 or 10 or not more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to inform myself better, but Iran, it's a country that they greatly recommended me. And then towards Central Asia, I think.
Yeah. And you really have no end time.
No, the thing is to be constant in making videos, in sharing stories, in traveling, and I hope that in half year, so in 4 months, I can see how the evolution goes, if the audience likes the content and so on. The thing is to not be stuck. In the moment I'm stuck, that would be a problem. But if it keeps growing, I'm still enjoying the trip, which I will, then I will keep doing it. And it takes time. This kind of thing, I think you cannot judge from the first 6 months. You need to be there, to be constant at least 1 month, 1 year, or even 2 years. So yeah, I will try my best. I don't want to go back to the office from 9 to 6, so I will do my best.
That's your incentive. Just
Yeah,
anything to stay out of the office. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. We're going to definitely keep up with you over the next year or two. We'll see how long you go. We'll update the podcast as well. Hey, if you need something to listen to on the road, you can always download our podcast and we'll keep you company on the bike. But I guess that is it for the hard questions. So we're going to start the lightning round. So these are shorter questions. Just don't think too hard. Just answer these as the answer comes to your head. Do you have a favorite piece of gear so far?
So what I've been finding more valuable lately is my thermo, because it keeps the water cold. Yeah, in these last days above all.
Yeah. How is the weather in Italy right now? Is it getting warm?
Yeah, it's getting hotter and hotter. Yeah, just like in Spain. Yeah, like above 30 degrees or so.
Okay, so what do you miss most when you're on the road?
I think Chinese food. Yeah, I went to several Chinese restaurants in this trip. Yeah, I think that would be the thing I miss the most.
Well, you're heading the right direction. I think the Chinese food will get better the closer you get, maybe. Yeah. All right, now you can only choose one of these.
Mm-hmm.
What do you most desire after a long ride? A home-cooked meal, a warm shower, or a soft bed?
Actually, I thought about this question in one of my long rides, and I chose the shower.
Yeah, I can
cold
imagine.
Shower if it's warm. Yeah.
This time of year, I can imagine. And then do you start the shower with your clothes on and just rinse it off, and then do the laundry at the same time?
More or less.
Yeah, I know. No, that's what you do when you're backpacking. You jump in the lake, right?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you have one, but do you have a favorite book, movie, or even a television show about traveling, or maybe even cycling or backpacking?
Yeah, I haven't read a lot about traveling, but they recommended to me a book that I want to read that is about a woman who cycled from Ireland to India in the 60s alone.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's called Full Tilt, from Ireland to India.
Wow. How many kilometers would that be? That would be,
I don't know, at least 10,000.
Thousands, yeah. That's cool. So the last question is one that we ask all of our guests. It's called Who's Your Infatuasian? An infatuasian is someone who is Asian that you admire or that you may know or may not know, and they can be deceased or living. It's up to you. So, Sara Qiu, who is your infatuation?
I would say he's from Taiwanese origin, and he's living in Spain. His name is Didak Lee, and he's been an entrepreneur for 20 years, and now he's an investor, and he started everything from scratch. He's from the 70s, I think, so second generation in Spain, and he's very humble. I mean, he has achieved a lot, and he is very humble. I had the chance to meet him a few years ago, and it's impressive everything he's done. He's the kind of person that you have to interview, maybe.
Oh yeah, I would
But
love to.
he's in a lot of interviews. He's very
That's cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, right now you're the only Asian Spaniard that I know.
There are a bunch. There
I'm
are
sure.
a lot of
Yeah,
us.
no, I'm sure there are. It's just not in my circle. That's all. That's cool. So I guess that's it for us. Do you have any questions for us?
Just thank you very much for contacting me, and I've been listening to several of your podcasts. It's amazing that there is a channel for elevating Asian voices. I didn't expect to be here, but I'm very happy to be able to share with you my experience. And I wish to see more Asian people, Asian women doing this kind of things, because it's like out of the scope of our parents.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, our parents' generation did traveling, but they did it more out of necessity, like leaving a country because of politics or economics. Yeah. But yeah, so it's really cool to find you on YouTube. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and we're definitely going to keep up with you. So that does it for episode 38. Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Curtis. Thank you.
Our pleasure. We are rooting for you. And so if you ever feel a little tired on the hill or whatever you're riding over, just think of us cheering you on as we're rooting for you.
I will.
So everybody follow Sara she has a website called Journey from the Road, or YouTube, same channel, or Instagram, all the same name. And we will, you know what I need to do? I need to find a way to send you a sticker for your bike from our podcast. you can advertise our podcast.
Okay, I will stick it. No problem.
The problem is finding out where you're going to be.
Yeah, that's a difficult one.
So next time you're somewhere for, I don't know, it's going to take a while for it to get there. Anytime maybe 3 weeks ahead of time. This is going to be hard. But thank you so much for coming on. And hey, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you learned something. That's one of the goals of this podcast, is that you learn something new. And you can always write to us at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com. And I'll put all the details in the show notes. The best way to make sure you know when our episodes are is you follow us on Spotify or Apple. And you can always leave us a rating or a review. That'd be great. But till we talk to you again, on behalf of Sara and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. And talk to you soon.
Muchas gracias a todos por escuchar y nos vemos pronto. Buenas noches. Bye, bye.
Bye, bye.